Good evening. Welcome to the Hostage Diaries, late on a Sunday night, when I'd much rather be anywhere but still in the garage. At least I have a roof over my head. I can remember. Let's start this evening recounting. I was just watching. I saw a replay of a Syracuse championship game with Carmelo Anthony, and I remember listening to it on the radio when I was sleeping in my car. And it goes back to, it was just strange. Like I said, it's a bizarre reality. I'm not exactly sure what sent on this path, but it doesn't make any sense as far as looking at, I don't know. It really doesn't make any sense as far as trying to figure things out to what exactly has gone wrong. What I've tried to come up with is the characterizations that I work on are pertaining to my work as a writer. And there's different deviations of character, of course, and some seem crass and crude, as you would. But the reason is when you get into many years of mental taxing effort. Obviously, people were trying to tear me apart. They wanted to get at they were in your, drilling into my brain. They wanted to really screw some stuff up. Best case scenario, like I said, there was one group that wanted to turn me into Jason Voorhees to go out and be a serial killer like Derek Todd Lee. Honestly, I think there's a certain sector. One sector wanted to turn me into Scarface, or something like that. But I didn't. I was basically just investigating. I was looking around. I've dog paddled through my entire life, basically. Never had a grasp on anything. But never had much of, any sort of grasp upon any control mechanism. I was never, like I said, I was always the outsider. S.E. Hinton, I guess that's part of it. I was always the outsider. I was mostly alone with the exception of a few years around college for the last many years at least. And it's just a bizarre scenario. Very Kafka-esque, of course. And I'm a known commodity. Like I said, I've charted the astronomy lights in the sky from E.T. all the way back to, the early 1900s. So obviously there was some effort there. Honestly, I think they were trying to erase me and bury my family. And then they were going to use the clones. My family if I wouldn't have woken up, I did all this work on my own. Dug and put pieces together, figured stuff out. I'm still told, that you're crazy. You're not, there's nothing. There's nothing there. And I've got thousands of pages of connective tissue that formulate a pretty darn good organic being. So obviously they were going to bury my family, use them as the power, the hidden power, and then puppet the clones around. And they needed me dead to a degree. I don't know. Like I said, somebody could have just shot me. But if I would have gotten murdered, they would have started digging, and there were some pieces there. They might have uncovered a big Ponzi scheme dealing with. That's the one good reason I got a tattoo, is because if I would have gotten murdered, they might have dug into that. So they tried to kill me by accidents or things like that. And obviously, who benefits the most has a lot to do with energy. Obviously, energy is we're talking about trillions of dollars, none of which that I get any of, but I open doors and access. And that's what we're used for, like I said. Energy. That's what this is all about. Energy, and so the mob, to a degree, I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out to the exact extent of it. But what's been going on now is this communal law disorientation is what I've been investigating. And it goes back to energy as a part of it. Louisiana is a microcosm of what's going on in other parts of the world. There's energy is attacking the bedrock. It's like strip mining, though. And it deals with what I've been talking about before, the values placed upon quantity. The reason that English is a language, but it's a program also. English is a basis of the pound, a quantity basis, but it's also on an island. The problem is you've got way too many people. Like America should probably not, all of America should not speak English. I've expressed an interest to try to go to a non-English speaking country because the banks I represent do not benefit. We're more of a qualitative sort. Not saying that England isn't, but all of the ancillaries seem to be. So I would probably, the banks I represent would benefit from an Italian or French style language, probably the programs of it. The euro even would be better suited for a qualitative sort of thing rather than pound quantity sprawl. But those that are in control want to use that as an advantage. That's the pile on the gravy sort of mentality. Let's just, load it up. Because you've got these big old mines dug, and now they're just trying to load stuff up. I mean, now it's just pile on, pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. The problem is my interest. I'm looking at it as a law, bank examiner, auditing, trying to, and shareholder, not that I get or anything like that, but because I have a vested interest of being exploited. So what I see happening right now is you've got this disorientation is used as a weapon. My plan many years ago was evolutionary development, different stages. There needed to be an international government with some muscle. That's what I've been saying for years. International plan with muscle. That had actually an economic body, a judiciary body that could control, because obviously the United States is controlled by, it's chaos right now. There's really nobody, and nobody's really controlling China that much, so an international body, the G20 of course would not want it. Yeah, well probably the G7 or G8, maybe even just the G5 are totally against it. But it's necessary. Otherwise, you're going to, I predict a total implosion and very much potential for a global catastrophic depression from all of this disorientation. Right now, the USA is trying to disorient the world. They want to strip mine, who let the dogs out, open all the gates, unlock everything, just chaos, free form, let everybody, and what's that good for? When you have just free-form chaos, you take a structured, it would be like going into a bank, like they did with me, a bank. They just decided, open the door up, anybody in, grab all you can, snatch and grab. Bust the windows, snatch and grab. That's what it's basically, the economic policy. Strip mining, tear up all the bedrock, but what they want to do is they want to pick and sort out all the good jewels and all the things like that, and then just throw all the dirt in a pile and let it, fester and disease take over. And what's going to happen is once you strip mine, in my estimation, it's going to be just a constant turnover. Like, look at Egypt. Egypt is a perfect example. It's going to be just constant revolution. No real development structure because they're just going to be fighting for who's in power, that sort of thing. So if you have a strong international body to oversee your evolutionary development and structural development, rather than just boom, blow it up and then just let it fall and do it by itself, that's crazy. That is insane, and that's what's going on right now in the world. They're just blowing it up, letting the dust fall, and then it's just a chaos dust storm. Of course, the USA benefits to a degree. But is it really good policy? No. You're going to create a ton of animosity because obviously there got to be some smart enough people to figure this out. The exploitation factor is just off the charts to a degree. So what I was saying was you've got to figure a way to use the people in place, the structures that are in place to help. Because right now the status quo of structure is what's going on. You've got a world of status quo holding its own, because they're getting, they're being tested from all the angles, internally, externally. So they're just hanging on. It's just try to maintain control. So there's really no development ability because of competition, which is spurred by this freedom that's turned into just freedom is gone. Is used as a weapon these days to destabilize. Like I said, my I'm looking out for what I see as my banking interests, which deal with Louisiana, totally exploited, just got screwed to hell. I mean, it makes a lot of wealth for certain people, but for the most part, Latin America, Central America is on the menu, obviously, and obviously they're eating a bunch of Italian steaks and Spanish steaks and Greek steaks. And they really want to fuck France. That's obvious because they really hate my family. Honestly, they really hate my family because they hate. It's like they hate the criminals hate they hate the fucking popo. They want to kill some fucking cops so they can get away with it. So France is deemed a threat, even though they're not as much. That's what I mean by disoriented Italy, Greece, and Spain. You just wiped out any sort of control mechanisms to a degree, and that basically opened up the gates to Latin America. That's what that was all about. They want to be able to get at that Latin America meat. And I have a problem with that because I got screwed. They're using Louisiana as the key. It's going through St. Louis Cathedral, and nobody's there. I mean, that's why I've been beat down. That's why I'm living as a hostage in a garage. If I had built a bank, it would have been like a dam. They love their dams. It protects their assets. But hey, anything you're trying to get at, they want to, That's why we were screwed so bad because they did not want Louisiana to build a bank. They didn't want that's called competition. They don't want competition. They want to stack the deck, rig the game. They want to ensure that that they win. That's the thing. It's a scam. It's a confidence game scam, and they're using tons of cash. And it's these It's like, well, us or them. It's that mentality, us or them. So then you got all the cash swinging both ways and that sort of mentality. So my problem is they're going to screw up. I mean, what's going to happen in Latin America? Obviously, they're planning on attacking with franchises and idols. Obviously, franchises and idols. And that's the obvious plan of attack. And once you get that in place, you get rid of a lot of the local power. You send that urban controls is necessary. Make the land real weak. The land weak, you put all the money in the cities, and that way it's easy to control. Then when you've got the percentage, it's not good business for me per se. I mean, like I said, I've been trying to build a bank vault for years to protect what the few assets that I have, and so now I'm using myself as an example. The representational values of it, that's where you get into cash is king and possessions are king, or demonic possessions. That's why I'm screwed by my possessions that have been pillaged, because I've been so beat down and impoverished my entire life, so I can be controlled by the haunting possession. I'm easy to control. It's easy to control people that don't have any money, obviously. I mean, anybody that wants can walk up and do whatever they want. I can't go anywhere, sure. All they have to do is, and I have a great amount of global power. I'm worth something, whereas most people aren't. I'm worth something in Europe. I'm worth something in parts of Latin America. That's motive for keeping me hostage with these real cheap, call it insurance if you will, but it's a fucking, gun to our fucking head hostage. Is really all it is. That's nothing more than it is. Controlled by voodoo, whatever you want to call it, same old, same old. So the cash is king goes back to the utilization of English precedents of pound. You thinking of it as pound. Accumulations. At one time, that was necessary in the imperial world. But now, with the world as it is, its precedences are just being manipulated. So you've got the representation. When you go in with a mine and you extract all the valuable material, what's the and then cash is king in the possession worship. What are you doing? You're basically going to remove all the power. And what's the cause effect of that? Revolution, probably. You're going to implode and so you can control the valuable assets. And the necessity of controlling the valued assets from these mines or these wells because of the representational nature of the products. You know, I mean, the problem is you got a lot of nefarious factions with tons of cash that don't necessarily deserve to have all that cash and are trying to value themselves by controlling other forms of assets. So you're extracting all the wealth, and then the mining process, the refining process, the production process. What are the cataclysmic effects upon that? I'm just saying there's no real law here. There's no judiciary. There's no government. There's no branch. It's a banana republic world. It's a free-for-all, and those with the money are happy right now. So great. That's why I said we needed a strong international body to control things. My plan was develop a strong international body. I wanted to do an evolutionary development spiritually and philosophically to try to help ease the competitive, cutthroat pressures and also move in with an economic development plan that would help spur growth and stable development. Rather than just walking in and knocking everything over and throwing in a bunch of franchises and strip malls that removes all character of culture and heritage. But see, that's when we're getting into this whole mentality of this super codifying law. But it's the great white shark, Jaws mentality. They're super nice and sweet and all this, but they're cutthroat fucking killers, you know. That you step out of line, you're a dead motherfucker, you know. That sort of mentality. It's just predator cutthroat law. But that's a weapon to attack. Most of the world, when you act all this, that's just this tense, psychotic, paranoid, you know what they preach in this psychotic, paranoid, bean counter, nickel and dime, you know, exactism is deemed crazy in most of this world, in my understanding, but it's necessary. So the expansion to the world right now is they're trying to export. Well, the reason that everything's becoming so nice and sweet is because of the vulnerability, because of blood. They don't want blood to be worth anything. They want everybody to have, you know, be the same. Money's all that matters is what you're wearing and how much money you got in your wallet. What you are does not matter one bit. Where you came from, who cares? If you got it's what you're wearing and the money in your pocket. That's all that matters. The cash, the jewelry, you know, you got you a gold grill with some big old fucking diamonds. You a player, bub. You know, that's what this is all about. Everybody soon's gonna have a big old gold grill with fucking diamonds, because they gonna be players. That shows who's got the power, you know. Or that's basically what it is. Who you are doesn't necessarily matter, because the notion of each person, the vote matters so much because we worship the political machine to extreme, you know. One person, one vote supersedes in the political machine, the legal machine, rather than what you're worth. So there's an oxymoron contrast there. Whereas it's all about what you wear and what you're worth on most channels, then in the political machine, it's really creating a oxymoron sort of, catastrophe sort of thing. So they want to export it globally, and I understand it. It's a weapon. The nice thing is a weapon because a lot of the world's vulnerable. They especially want to go after the Muslim world and Asia. For the most part. But if you look at it, and I'm not a totalitarian. I'm not. But the problem is, like I said, if you go in and just knock down everything, What are you going to create? You're going to create a mob. You're going to create a bunch of localized mob that nothing will ever get done. So then you swoop in with your franchises and you're the master. But that is not necessarily good for business, in my estimation. You're going to create a lot of animosity, but I don't think people care about it, to be honest with you. They're just trying to corner the world market on cash, is what it seems. But they decided to cut me out of my bank. You know, they're using my money and my influence, but they locked me out and cut me out of the deal. So I'm just a security guard now for my stolen bank, trying to look through the books and figure out where'd all my money go, where'd all my clients go. You know, my clients got taken because the bank got taken, and all the assets got transferred out. So now I'm all alone because my bank got robbed and they stole all my assets, and I'm trying to figure out where they are because they're all at the wherever they are. So the evolutionary development. And this is what I called for. I mean, there really needed to be a developing world order to a degree. You know, this international government judiciary. And certain factors with whoever's the people that are winning right now want to keep the game all this stays the same. They control majority of the wealth, so they don't care. You know, all they care about, any change is bad. That's the mentality that they see. So what needs to be done is evolutionary development in certain regions with regional controls rather than the status quo. Otherwise, you're just going to have people come in and swoop in and wipe you out with franchises or wipe you out with buying up cash. Because they can print as much cash as fast as you want. Problem is we're facing a brick wall full of natural resources, obviously. And it's just bad, stupid business. Eventually, we're going to have to fix the problem. But what they're trying to do is they want as much a percentage as they can. I got a feeling because they feel like they screwed. It's been mismanaged. It's been run real bad. And so they want to get as much of a percentage as they want. And I just happen to be one of the victims, that sort of thing. And so I'm kind of disgruntled. Where's my paycheck, bitch? You know, I ain't got a royalty check in forever. And most of the reason is, like I said, they wanted my bank vulnerable because I was getting pillaged. And so it makes it easier to rob if you don't have any doors. You don't have a door, anybody can walk in and take what they want. So hey, sure, living in a barn, it's easy. I know when you got a gold mine under your barn, anybody walks and takes as much gold as they want. Sure, that's basically what happened to me. Call it whatever you want, black gold, the saints, or natural gas, liquefied water, boy. Just about anything. And it's all tied into this voodoo possession or cash value or whatever you might. But methods of controlling assets. I mean, there are all sorts of the programs that are set in place based upon controlling assets. It creates a lot of bad decisions based upon brainwash, in my estimation. I mean, in order to be controlled, people are driven poorly. It's like going to a slaughterhouse. I mean, basically, if you're programmed into a slaughterhouse to be slaughtered, that's what's going on. They're programming slaughterhouse, like they're trying to do with me, but I didn't necessarily. I don't know. The Louisiana definitely went through the Johnsonville Bratwurst slaughterhouse, and the problem is they shouldn't have. They ate a bunch of bear burgers instead of they didn't want to eat any sacred cows, so they ate a bunch of bear burgers. And then it spread off into the wilds there. So evolutionary development plans are necessary, in my estimation, at least in the third world nations, because right now just perpetuation is screwy. You need a stronger international government body. I mean, the UN is great, but either give them some muscle or build a new one. Build one that has an economic development plan, that has a strong judiciary, not just over the crime. There's got to be a white-collar international crime division because it's just, and to see, it truly is amazing to watch how, to be honest with you, the U.S. is based heavily on forgery, yet it's deemed clean. But in reality, it's heavily, heavily based upon overvalued, cooking the books forgery. And it's seen as the law. And the reason is because of, in my estimation, the university system. They just built a whole bunch of universities. Then all these games. Then you got, like I was saying earlier, the exoskeletons, the healthcare, all this stuff. But it's not necessarily good business. And like I said, my clients are going to be pissed when they wake up and figure out, hey, these guys fucked us and it was my fault. So hey, I tried to stop it. I can't do anything about it. I'm hogtied as a hostage while the bank's being robbed. Can't do anything about it. But the way they're doing it is healthcare, which they control. It's like the insider trading sabotage. You let somebody that's working against you into your bank and they start giving out all the loot to your buddies, or they plug in their machines and start using all your power. It's that sort of mentality. And that's basically what's been going on. I can't do anything about it. And that's what I'm trying to remedy the situation. But I mean, basically, they're using my family as weapons to get at the asset. We're drill bits. I mean, we're drill bits into our. I mean, they turned what should have been a bank into a drilling operation. We're a bank of old world assets, and they decided that's crude. We're gonna drill it. We're gonna we'll call it hunting or something like that. So I'm trying to. The problem is they had to screw us so bad because it's real easy to fix. I mean, literally, the schemes are so easy. If we leave the country, it cuts off access to certain assets, in my estimation, in my theoretical. That's why, I mean, it is desperate kidnap keep us in the country because they want the international assets. Plus, they're kind of nervous about. That's another reason they're trying to cut all our ties. They want to burn all all the muscle, and we're getting thrown into the meat grinder sort of mentality. So, evolutionary development plan would really help, in my estimation. There has to be a plan of some sort. Yeah, this communal law disorientation is creating these huge debt loads. I mean, the problem is nobody with money is doing anything about it. They're just saying, run it into the ground, and that's nobody's saying anything about it. And the population who doesn't, they don't really have, unless there's a redistribution of wealth revolution. That's the only potential thing. And if that happens, then you're going to see people jumping ship. It just doesn't make any sense. The math here is screwy. It's all screwy in my estimation.